Welcome to another great episode of the Nintopics podcast. I am Mike Odyssey, the host of the Nintopics podcast and the Mike Odyssey channel on YouTube. Today we have the honor and the amazing privilege of having none other than the voice of Noah from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the one, the only, the great Harry McEntire.
Nintopics podcast, all things Nintendo. With Mike Odyssey, we're talking games like Super Mario. Yeah!
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Harry. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's an honor for us. It's truly an honor for us because, I mean, for those of us who have actually played your most recent work, of course, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, we have a lot of people watching because of that. We're just in awe. We're in awe of your performance. Crazy. I mean, let me just give you like my little round of applause here. Standing ovation.
Oh, mate.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for gifting us your talent in this particular work, which is just groundbreaking. I mean, still on the top 10 top sellers. Still on the top 10.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And how do you feel? How do you feel with the how the fans are reacting towards this?
It's been, I mean, you when you're an actor and you come into something particularly like a long-running series in a world that people care about so much, you are like a custodian of that project for a little bit.
Yeah.
But really it belongs to the fans much more than it belongs to you. The amount of hours that I put into the game while recording it is not the same as if you've played every like Xeno title back to Xenogears, whichever the first one was.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who've invested a huge amount of their life into this series and this world. And so I get to, like, pick up the torch and just run one leg of that race. And the fact that people love it is the most exciting and rewarding thing. It's something that you don't really engage with very much when you're an actor. Well, certainly I don't. You don't think, I wonder what the fan reaction's going to be. You just focus on trying to do that to the best of your ability, serve the script, serve the character, respond to the direction, and approach that with kind of clarity and professionalism and do your best. Yeah. And everything else is a bonus. And this is just completely, it's been overwhelming. Like it's been beyond anything I could have hoped for. It's been incredible. I'm so grateful for it. The support and the love from the Xenoblade community has just been unreal. Wow.
And it's growing. It's growing. I speak to people every day who just say, I just picked up this game with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and I can't believe the quality of voice acting and the emotion that is within this game. And if you haven't people if you haven't played this game, you have to pick it up now. And I promise you, it's one of the best voice acting you will ever hear in a game. You will forget you're playing a game. You will immerse yourself in this world. And I mean, Harry McEntire is a huge part of this experience. He's done a fantastic job in this work. I mean, I love the basically the type of emotion that he brings out in this game, and it just brings it all to life for us. So I think that's why the fans are reacting the way they are, just because there's a new level. you have set
so kind for you to say.
You have set a bar when it comes to voice acting in video games, and we truly appreciate that. And we have a couple of questions from the fans because
ahead.
The Nintopics podcast, so you know, is basically just like a little mini convention. The questions are all by fans, and just a disclaimer, guys. Remember, when I posted the questions, the little advertisement, no spoilers. There's an NDA in place that allows us to not cross, and how Nintendo is, and you've noticed with the previous voice actors, we can't go further than a certain point. So, okay, so if your question wasn't answered right now, it'll probably get answered in the future later on once everything else is is out there. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and get through the questions which by the way, were great questions that we can answer for you. Okay, and of course, we do this to protect our amazing talent here, Harry, and then so that we can just all have enjoy this interview, right? So let's go ahead and get into the questions. And question number 1 for Mr. Harry McEntire. I should say the great Harry McEntire.
Yeah, I don't think you should.
Have you been or plan to attend any fan conventions?
I have actually. I've been lucky enough that my work in a Netflix show called The Last Kingdom has allowed me to do that. So I did MCM in London last year.
Yeah.
I've done one in Germany, couple more in the UK, and then a couple of sort of specific conventions for The Last Kingdom that I've done in America and in France. So, I mean, it's a part of the world actually that I really love. I really love getting the chance to meet people, particularly people who cosplay, because I'm not a cosplayer.
Yeah.
But I think it's so incredible that someone puts dozens, hundreds of hours into creating a version of that character.
Yeah.
And I'm super stoked to see what the Xenoblade fans can do at conventions. So hopefully, I'm not doing any for the rest of this year, but hopefully next year I'll be able to kind of get out there and meet people.
I mean, by then, I mean, it's gonna be massive, and looking at Xenoblade, it invites you to cosplay, right? There's so many elements in and they did such an amazing job when it comes to the costumes they're wearing, the outfits, the designers did such an incredible job, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna be wowed when you visit that convention and see Noah right in front of you, because these cosplayers, they actually go the extra mile. They turn into the character. That's amazing.
No, I can't wait.
All right, so let's see here. And what have you been playing lately, personally?
I have just started a Twitch channel.
Oh, awesome.
I haven't posted on it yet.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Perfect.
On it. So I have played the game for a few hours because I'm really bad at games. Yeah. So in all the other games I've been in, I'm not good enough at the game to get to my character. Yeah. Like, I'm sort of locked behind a skill wall. Yeah. Whereas obviously with Xenoblade, I'm in it from the very beginning, which is super cool.
That's awesome.
So I've tried to like skip cutscenes so that I can respond authentically to them and be watching them for the first time.
That's awesome.
But that's been super fun. And then I just got bought Breath of the Wild for my birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I've played like maybe 4 hours of Breath of the Wild.
That's crazy.
And then beyond that, like, I'm not someone who had the access to consoles much when I was younger. Like, I didn't have a load of money sloshing about. Yeah. And so I came through with the GoldenEye. I used to have a Mega Drive with like Road Rash, Mercs, and Streets of Rage, and that kind of stuff. And as I got older, I kind of didn't game for a while, and I kind of got back into it recently. And I love anything with a story. I've never really played an online game. I don't like playing kind of with other people very much. I like to have a story that feels like I have agency in it. Oh wow, that's nice. I'm making choices, open world stuff, and that can be things like The Witcher. It can be there's a sort of very depressing game I played called This War of Mine. Oh yes, which is like a sort of the Siege of Sarajevo, really dark stuff. Yeah, but all about story and agency, and I think that's the amazing thing that games do. Is when I play a game, I am that character. That is awesome. Whereas when I watch a film or watch TV, I'm passive. I'm only observing that character. Like, I'm a Lord of the Rings guy, and I've watched Lord of the Rings dozens and dozens of times, but I'm never actually Frodo. I'm just watching Frodo. Yeah. Whereas the amazing thing that I'm discovering through games is I can be, I mean, I actually am Noah, but I can be Noah, or I can be Geralt of Rivia, or I can be Link, or whoever I'm playing, whoever the protagonist is. And I kind of experience that game in a completely new way. And that game exists in the way it does because of the choices I've made. And that's the amazing thing. I mean, I don't need to tell you why games are great. Yeah. No, but I mean, I love that perspective. I truly love that perspective, because that's I haven't thought about games in that way. And to actually have an actual guys, Netflix. You can just go to Netflix and type Harry McEntire, okay? And you will find one of the best acting ever. I'm honored to have him on this program, because Harry's future is it's you'll see. Give it a time. You're gonna see. I hope you're right, man. How far? I hope you're right. I mean, because and then let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into
the questions by our fans on Twitter and on Facebook as well. Awesome. So we have a question here by username on Twitter, thatgirl. That's very creative. Have you played any Xenoblade, any Xenogears, Xenosaga, or any Xeno games before this role?
Not only had I not played any Xeno games, apart from Pokemon Red, never really played a JRPG.
Wow, that's interesting.
It was it's this thing where, like, whenever you're working on a game in general, every game I've ever worked on, they are under working titles. So, you know, once you discover what you're working on, you go, oh, so I watched I've watched someone play a bit of Xenoblade 1.
Okay.
Just because I was like, oh, this sounds exciting.
Right.
But no, I'd never, you know, Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, never played those games. And so it's been an amazing journey of discovery, actually, mainly just because of the depth of the storytelling. Yeah. And the amazing places that you get to go to as an actor. You know, in the kind of more Western RPGs that I've been playing. You know, your cutscenes might be 2 minutes long, and that's kind of long. Whereas in this, you might get half an hour of just people talking to each other. And it's an amazing thing to work on, and it's an amazing thing to watch. And to just have a kind of gaming culture that is so brave about going deep and really digging down into difficult, knotty subjects and doing it with such kind of empathy and kindness is amazing.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. And I see you mentioned Final Fantasy. How does it feel to be a part of what I would call the Final Fantasy VII of Xenoblade, which basically Final Fantasy VII, you know, is like
Fantasy VII is the one everyone really loves, right?
Yeah, that's the Final Fantasy. When people say Final Fantasy VII, they had to remake it. So how does it feel to be part of that Final Fantasy VII of Xenoblade?
You know, the thing is, I've been an actor for 15 years. I've been doing it since I was 17, and sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, everything seems to come together and coalesce. And that's your enjoyment of the work, how challenging the work is, and then a critical response to the work and a fan response to it. And it's very, very rare. There are probably only a few projects in my entire career where all those things have come together and all been rich and rewarding. Wow. And this is one of those experiences. And I'm very glad I'm having it now. As far into my career as I am, because I realize how special it is. And I think if, you know, actually another instance of this was one of the first jobs I ever did when I was 18. I did a musical. And I don't think I really appreciated it because I was like, oh, it will always be like this. And so getting this response now and having this experience now, I'm so much more grateful for it, so much more aware of how rare it is and how precious it is, and how fortunate I am to be part of it. Really, I just feel lucky and delighted.
That's fantastic. I mean, guys, if you don't know, Harry is not only, I mean, for those of you who are in the gaming world, Harry's an amazing actor. He's been in shows on HBO, on Showtime. He's on stage, musicals. So basically, you can sing as well. You can act. You know, I mean,
good for a while. I mean, I don't know about anymore.
It's like riding a bike, right? You never forget.
Yeah, you never forget.
But I encourage you guys to for those of you who are stuck in the gaming world and then you're into gaming, just Google Harry McEntire. You're gonna be amazing. You're gonna fall in love with his work, like we all did here when we were doing our research, because it was just fantastic. We're truly that's what I'm telling you. We're truly honored to have you here on the channel. It's a super honor for you. Well, I'm an honor for us.
No, I'm sure. Hey, honor goes both ways. You know.
And then we got, let's go next question from Twitter. We got a question from Regulus King. What was your reaction to knowing that this was a role you were going to play in Xenoblade?
Well, I mean, I think there's a writer who I worked with years ago who said that the only time an actor is happy is in like the 10 minutes after they find out that they've got the job. Because from that point on, they start worrying. And as I said, working title and all that kind of stuff. So the point at which you find out what it is, you go, oh my God, this is really exciting. And then it gets really frightening because you just hope people are going to respond to it, frankly, in the way that they have. But none of these things are guaranteed. And it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And although that isn't really helpful as an actor, there's Noah doesn't know he has a great big responsibility.
Yeah.
So I have to sort of forget that and just do the work. But yeah, it's a big responsibility and one that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, and we're happy that this responsibility has laid upon you. You're an actor such as yourself. So it's great. Let's see here. So what inspired you? This is a cool question. This is by Kyler on Twitter. What inspired you to make a Twitch account? And basically to say that you inspire you to want to play this game with your fans.
I just really wanted to play the game. I didn't own a Switch. I bought the game and I bought a Switch on the day of release.
Wow.
And it kind of had my own little mini Christmas.
That's awesome.
And was like, it's here. And I was just so excited about it.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for ways to kind of do more fun stuff. And the brilliant thing about this work that I've started to do in games is it's opening up all these brilliant, wonderful, strange opportunities.
Yeah.
Like I played Dungeons and Dragons at London Comic Con with an amazing group from Outside Xbox, the YouTube channel Outside Xbox. And these kind of people that you meet and these opportunities that you have. And then I just thought, this might be really, really fun. So I stuck it on Twitter and said, is this a good idea? And the response was really lovely and supportive and universally kind. And that's the response I've had in general from the fans. And I'm so grateful for that. And as long as they don't mind watching someone learn how to play a game, I think it should be really fun.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work and people don't watch it, well, frankly, no one's watching me play the game now. So I can't really lose,
I mean, I'm pretty sure people are going to watch the actor that plays Noah actually experience the game. I hope
so.
So, and guys, the link to the Twitch is down below in the description. I'll make sure to include all those things down there. That way you guys can go and follow Harry on Twitch, and you guys need to experience that as well.
Yeah, twitch.com/Harry McEntire. I got my own name.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's even better. And that is super rare, too. All right, next question. It comes from Silver Appreciator, also on Twitter. It says, since you hadn't done much video game voice before this role, did it impact the way you handle this performance versus your more traditional media roles? Any difference in techniques or methods for getting into the character, basically between being an actor and also voice actor?
Yeah, it's a really great question, actually. I mean, I'd done a part in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
And I'd done dubbing work before, so foreign language shows that Netflix were buying as big properties during the pandemic, and then dubbing them with English casts. And the amazing thing about voice acting in general, and the reason that I just love it so much, and actually if there's any part of my career I want to build and grow, and a place where I want to stay and a place where I feel most at home, it's in doing video games. I really love it. And the amazing thing about it is it's so transformative for you as an actor. When you're on screen or on stage, it may sound like an obvious point, but you're never going to play a part that doesn't look like you.
Wow.
Whereas suddenly I can play all these parts that have been locked out from me. So romantic leads, villains, heroes. I revoiced a 6'3" French model in a period French drama about like vampires.
Yeah.
I would never get to play that part if I was on screen, and the joy of that has been huge. And in terms of the actual question, which was the technique behind it, we have three ways really that we can convey emotion to an audience, and it's through gesture, facial expression, and vocal quality. And suddenly you've only got one of those available to you. And what I realized really early on is that if you try to give what feels like a naturalistic screen performance, you end up coming out really underpowered because there's kind of energy being lost through gesture and facial expression that isn't reaching the picture. And so what you have to do, and you can do this when you have a fantastic group of directors like we did on Xenoblade, and like we have really done on every game I've worked on, you just have to go for it. You just have to put more of yourself into it. Give it that extra 10% that may feel kind of unnatural almost at first. And then you see or you trust that when it's put to picture, that energy actually reads and that energy is appropriate. And that was the hardest shift for me to make. I watch previous like dubbing that I've done, things that are on Netflix, and I go, why isn't that working? Or why isn't that exactly what I wanted it to be? And typically it's because there's just not enough energy and not enough intent behind it, and you almost have to reach that little bit further. And it's something that I'm still learning. You know, I've been doing voice work for about, in this context, maybe for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
But you know, as I say, I've been an actor for 15.
Yeah.
So it's taking it's going to take time, but it's a process that I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying having to concentrate that hard and having to work that hard all the time.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. I mean, you do again, fantastic work you're doing. So we
thank you, fella.
We can't really blur the lines. The lines are actually blurred between your acting and your voice acting because it's just amazing throughout. So, all right. So let's go to the next question. And we got here a question again by Twitter user. Am I pronouncing it right? It says Corky. Okay. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. What it says here: when you played the part of Noah, did you suspect that the fans would love the character as much as they do, and why? Yeah, this is a little bit of a different question because it's pertaining not to the game but more like to the actual character.
Yeah, I think. Well, again, like I said, this is a different experience for me playing a hero. I always think of things in Dungeons and Dragons terms because I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, and he's like a cleric or a paladin, and you know, these kind of iconic classic heroes that want to do the right thing and want to be good people and achieve their ends, but they want to preserve life and they want to keep their humanity and they don't want to compromise on those things, and they have a kind of purity of intent. And the thing that you hope for is, and it always seems to happen in these big JRPGs, as I'm learning, that there is, because there's so much writing, because there's so much content, there is so much of this character being fleshed out. And so he never, I hope, feels like a one-dimensional, just a good guy, devoid of conflict, devoid of tension, devoid of any kind of ambiguity. He's a character, like they all are, in movement, who's growing and learning and making mistakes and having their initial impacts to things checked and challenged. And I hoped, as I say, that the audience would respond to it. But of course you never know. But I believed that the character was a really exciting and complex and multifaceted character. Made all the more without getting into any spoilers by where he goes in the game.
Wow.
And that's the joy of it, of seeing something through from beginning to end in you know, in such an extraordinary world. It's been wild.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and continue to the next question. This one's called this username. You can tell they're into the franchise. It's Xenoblader X98.
Yes.
So this one is a fan. Let's see here. Would you love to see Noah in Smash Bros?
So much. Like more than you believe. So, like I said, I wasn't a massive gamer.
Yeah.
But my friends had GameCubes. And we used to play, was it Super Smash Bros?
Yeah,
That's what we used to play at like sleepovers. And I've got lots of nieces and nephews, and the majority of the stuff that I'm in is too adult and too graphic for them.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have a couple of my nephews are really into Super Smash Bros. And I would just love so much for them to be able to play as me in a game.
That's awesome.
I think it would be the coolest thing ever. It's also the coolest thing ever for me. Like, I'm still totally not over how exciting this is.
Yeah,
and I never really have been through my whole acting career. I've
Yeah.
never got over it being exciting to be on TV or be in a film.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes, you know, people say hi to me in the street, or I got recognized once on a zip line in Costa Rica, which is like the weirdest place I've ever been recognized.
Right.
But it's always, people are always being lovely. And I'm still really grateful for that, really not cool about it, and really excited by it. So, yeah, I would love to be in that so much.
That'd be awesome. It'll be super awesome.
Man.
Hopefully we get another game, or they reopen the roster again, because I know they have all this thing going. They need to do it. They need to reopen that roster.
There's precedent, isn't there?
Yeah.
They've got Shulk.
Yeah.
And they've got Pyro and Mithra, right? So, you know.
They have to. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a given. I think fans, you know what you gotta do. Make it go trend. Make it go trend on YouTube.
Yes, let's rally the fan base.
Yeah.
If anyone can achieve it, it is the Xenoblade fan base.
Exactly. Yeah. It could happen. Let's go over to Jerome, Twitter user Jerome from Twitter. Where did you draw inspiration to portray Noah?
The material. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but there isn't a lot of extra work you need to do, extra reading or extra imagining.
Yeah.
Because the world is so unbelievably rich. The characters are so rich.
Yeah.
And we have so much time with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the completed playthrough is something like 130, 150 hours. And I have all that material to work with and to read and to get to a place where I understand him. And then, you know, I bring my instincts to it.
Yeah.
And then we have like an amazing team of people. People who are the best at what they do, whether that's direction or mixing or editing or writing. They're the best at it. And so you put yourself in their very capable hands and you say, here are my instincts. And sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And when you're wrong, they kind of collaborate with you to find the best version of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't kind of drawing on anything in particular. I certainly wasn't drawing on like my knowledge of JRPGs because I didn't have one.
Yeah.
So tonally, like, I didn't know what was expected. And that's when you need great direction around you, which we had. And also, I don't want to ever play a character who's a response to another character.
Yeah.
Who's a kind of, who's shaped by, I don't know, my favorite performance in a Marvel. Or my favorite on stage performance that I've seen.
Yeah.
It has to speak for itself, and it has to kind of be self-contained. And I just have to commit fully to the material that I'm given and explore it to the best of my ability, and just care about it enough to work at it.
Yeah.
And if you do that, it tends to come out all right.
I think that's what separates basically everyday forgettable roles from the actual great ones. You know, these great ones, they're memorable, they're unique, they're unforgettable, and they impact your lives. And I think that how you described it is perfect. So thank you for that. That's amazing. That's awesome. The last question here we have for you is, without any spoilers, without anything, what has this role? Has his character taught you? Are you the same person before than you were after the character?
I think that there's this slightly flowery analogy that I use when I talk about characters generally.
Yeah.
Like, the script is like is neutral. It's like a beam of light.
Yeah.
But it's not coloured. It's just a neutral beam of light. And we are all a sort of diamond, all cut differently with different faces and different angles within us. And when the material hits us, it's refracted into all the colours and patterns that we are. And that's why my version of Noah would be different from everybody else's version who auditioned for that role. And I'm sure they saw brilliant people, and they would have been brilliant Noahs. But my version is my version and my version only. And so you always carry your characters with you, and you're always changed by your characters to an extent because you are exploring parts of yourself in those characters. Because I can't do anyone else's version but mine.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to be able to do... I mean, who do I really admire? There are loads of people who I really admire. I'd love to do Viggo Mortensen's version of this character. but I can only do mine. And I think I just loved playing him in all of his complexity, and I am really fond of him, and I really care about him, and I always try to see the narrative from my character's perspective. But by and large, in my screen work, I'm playing quite detestable people.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, oh, I just see them as the hero, people think I'm crazy. And it's quite nice to be able to say, well, I kind of see Noah as the hero. For people to go, yeah, of course.
Right? That is awesome. And I mean, right now, guys, that was the last question we had for Harry, and I'm truly honored. Thank you so much for spending time with us here, giving us a glimpse into Harry McEntire, the voice of Noah. Guess what? A character that I feel we're going to grow to love even more over time. Is going to become an iconic character, and the performance behind it, truly amazing. So thank you, Harry, so much for being here with us at the Nintopics podcast. Let us know how we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and at my Twitch channel.
Yeah. Harry, that's a /
all / Harry McEntire.
Yeah,
I
that's
got that
crazy.
before
All
any
of it.
other me's. My name is spelt in quite an unusual way, so there's very rarely overlap. But thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I'm so excited about this, and it's such a thrill to be part of it. And to do stuff like this is just kind of part of the fun. So thank you.
That's awesome. I look forward to meeting you at a convention here in the United States soon or next year. And
I hope so.
Yeah. That's out, guys. Harry, I'm not gonna say Harry McEntire. The great Harry McEntire. All right. I wish I had some sound effects. I'm gonna add some sound effects here with some applauding.
Keep this in as well. This is what people love. Creation.
Nintopics Podcast, all things Nintendo. With Mike Odyssey, we're talking games like Super Mario.